We're going to start the meeting in like 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. My name is Julie Reyes. I'm the chairperson of Community Board 8. I'd just like to introduce some of the board members. Hopefully coming will be our Vice Chair, Sergio Villarreal. We have our Secretary, Margaret Della, our Treasurer, Joy Campbell-Privatere, our District Manager, Farah Q. Rubin, and our Community Coordinator, Artie Malzoun. First, I'd like to thank Amalgamated Houses for hosting this evening's meeting, and thank you all who came in this weather. We didn't think we'd have quorum, but we're almost there. Okay, the AZA members approved for this evening's meetings are Sylvia Alexander, Lee Chong, Barbara Kale, Georgia Santiago, and Martin Walpole. They must show their face if attending on Zoom. Okay, a board member marked absent and in attendance via Zoom may be permitted to speak if called on, but does not have the privilege to vote should a vote take place. A reminder to the board members, during the course of the board meeting, kindly raise your hand and please wait to be acknowledged. For guests on Zoom, please note only members of the public who have signed up to speak at the gallery session may address the board during the first portion of the board meeting. And then I'd like to ask, are there any new members who were not here for our first meeting? If so, I'd like you to just introduce yourselves. No, everybody was here? Okay, good enough. Thank you. So we'll start the evening off with our gallery session. David, since you're here, you're up first. Thank you. Come and introduce yourself, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you and good evening. My name is David Zarnetsky, and I'm the president of the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League. And I'm speaking tonight in support of putting a project to put lights at Sid Arden Field in North Riverdale. I spent some time thinking about what I would spend my 3 minutes diving into, and if I would talk about some of the concerns that were brought up in the many discussions that we have had on the matter. So perhaps I would talk about the New York City traffic accident database and the feedback gotten from the NYPD 50th precinct and how neither of them show a history of traffic problems near Sid Field. I could talk about that for 3 minutes. I thought about maybe talking about the interesting topic of modern athletic field light technology, how it's able to directly focus light directly onto the field of play, reducing light pollution and light seepage about to 90%, or the dark sky lighting compliance framework that ensures these technologies are used, and how New York City Parks Department actually requires such compliance for any new lighting installations. But these and many other details have been discussed at length at 2 Parks Committee meetings, and it's all been recorded and it's on Zoom, and summaries of them are in the minutes. So rather than go through these items again tonight, I thought I'd spend my time talking to you guys about magic. In spring of 2020, right as we were deep into COVID, when nobody was doing anything and our kids in the community surely weren't hanging out with their friends and gathering. And I mean, I don't need to tell you guys what it was like. It was pretty bleak. You all know how it was. And our league managed to have a spring season in 2020. And it was a weird season. It was a little smaller than normal. And we had tape on the dugout benches marking the 6 feet apart that they had to be. And there were masks were required and high fives were banned. And in the dugout, we had one of those big Lysol antiseptic gel dispensers. So it was a weird season, but it gave the community and these kids something very amazing that spring. And that definitely was magic. The league has been around for 72 years. Sid Field has been our home that entire time, actually since before it was known as Sid Field. 72 years means that we're going on 3 and sometimes 4 generations of the same family playing in the same league in the same field. So I've had the joy of standing outside of Sid Field and watching a grandfather and a father watch a baseball game. And I tell you, watching them watch their son and grandson play is definitely magic. And finally, if any of you, as when you were children, ever got a chance to play ball under the lights or have kids who've had the opportunity to do so, then you know that it's something amazing, something that makes them feel beyond special. So kids playing under the light is definitely magic. So before these kids become adults and to get a job and go to work and pay their rent and maybe even attend community board meetings, I would ask that you vote for a little bit of magic in their lives. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Robert Spalter. I believe he's on Zoom. Yeah,
Yep.
I think.
Good evening. My name is Rob Spalter. I'm speaking tonight for the homeowners and tenants living in Vinmont houses, a development of 20 one and two family attached homes located between Nashville Avenue, West 255th Street, and Vinmont Road in North Riverdale. We wholeheartedly appreciate and support the valuable contributions to our community made by the North Riverdale Baseball League. However, as the closest neighbors to Sid R. Garden Field, otherwise known as Sid Field, we have serious concerns regarding the impacts of night lights and night games at Sid Field. The area is a parking desert. Unfortunately, double and triple parking on Marshall Avenue and blocking driveways is a fact of life during games. The problem will be exacerbation of night games, regardless of anything written in your resolution. We who live in Vinmont houses have lived with this problem for decades, since long before the field was fenced and gated, blocking out the. We are good neighbors. That's why we do not call the 50th precinct, because they do not do selective enforcement, and we would not wish to harm all of our local businesses on Marshall Avenue, where people are just picking up dry cleaning, laundry, pizza, etc. For the residents on Marshall Avenue, it is very difficult to have to go out and attempt to find exactly whose car is blocking our driveway, preventing us from either leaving or returning to our home. We understand that for the players' safety, the field must be lit up like daytime. And if this board is going to approve night lights, the board should insist, not recommend, that the Parks Department install minimum glare lights in accordance with dark sky best practices for sports fields. Cars exiting the parkway at exit 22 tend to speed up again going downhill on Marshall Avenue. There should be concerns that while the field might be up in daylight, the roadway is not. Children trying to navigate the double parked cars and others driving on the wrong side of the street attempting to get by those cars is much more dangerous at night. We think 8:30 p.m. is a lot more reasonable time for lights to be turned off than 9 p.m. These are young children out on school night. Finally, in the sixth whereas in your resolution, incorrect. We have 20 one and two family homes, not 8 as stated. 26 families signed and sent to the board in opposition. Vinmont families signed the NRBL petition in favor, not 3 as was alleged, as one of those signatories has not lived in Vinmont for several years. We oppose this resolution and thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Robert Spalter. Our next speaker, Patrick Cantor. No. Okay. So then the next one is Miguelina Espiritu, present or on Zoom.
Hi, my name is Miguelina Espiritu. I'm a licensed social worker with 37 years of experience in psychiatric crisis intervention, elder abuse, and mental health education. I'm also a proud resident and outreach advocate for EdCap, Education Debt Consumer Assistance Program, funded by the New York State and run by the Community Service Society of New York. EdCap is here for you. We offer free, confidential, and backed help for anyone struggling with student loan debt, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, or a recent graduate, or someone who took out loans years ago. EdCap can help you understand your options, avoid deferment and other problems, and protect your financial future. We are all about easing stress. Sorry, I had a little glitch. I'm sorry. Easing stress that could be that's produced by student loans. I provided a brochure with the contact information. Feel free to contact us. We have very experienced counselors. I also work for the Psychiatric Institute on sleep and dementia studies, which are absolutely free. So we encourage you to join. Thank you and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. And then our last speaker will be Joe Guerrero. Sorry if I mispronounced.
I see. Thank you, guys. My name is Joel. I represent the section of Sedgwick Avenue and Kingsbridge Heights around Washington's Walk, Old Fort Ford Playground, and Fort Independence Playground. And I like to speak about the work we've been doing, at least in the past few years, regarding park stewardship, tree planting, and then also the two ongoing projects that's happening: Old Fort Park, the basketball renovations, and the bathroom installation. Just to speak briefly on it, we've been seeing quite success in the project's timeline and its execution. With the help of the park, I say forgive me, of the neighborhood CBOs alongside the park stewardship groups, particularly Jerome Park Friends Group under Deborah Travis, Washington's Walk Group, which is under 3 independent subsidiaries, Theory 9, Cat Rock Ventures, and Sedgwick Park Friends Group. Alongside Sedgwick Park Friends Group has have been not just monitoring, but seeing the progress that's been happening due to these new renovations happening in the area. Just around spring 2024, there were about 15, I believe 24 trees planted around around Old Fort Ford Playground and on the outskirts of it, even towards Washington's Walk, going into the new Strong Street Playground as well. However, the tree pits, the new trees were planted on tree beds that don't have tree guards. One of our main concerns, especially with all the tree planting events that we do new mulch placement, daffodil planting every year. We've noticed that there might be we fear that the new trees implemented in the spring 2025 would die quickly if we don't put tree guards over them. We believe if we implement tree guards, it'll incentivize us to take more care of those trees that were planted in spring 2025, and also allow us to put legal signatures and just continuously upkeep these new trees that were planted in spring 2025. I don't have an exact map of the locations. However, I believe Deborah Travis can help provide those coordinates of where those new trees were planted, in hopes that those tree guards can be added into priority 12 of the expense budget for 27. I believe that's tracking code 108202612C, to reconstruct playground, but also to add the improved lighting for the basketball courts, stone walling and fencing and green space. We hope to add also tree guards into that mix. I'll say thank you guys for giving me those 3 minutes.
Thank you for the information. Okay, that concludes our gallery session. Just to let the public know that anyone wishing to speak at our gallery session, which is usually held the first 30 minutes of the board meeting, can contact the board office at 718-884-3959 and be put on as a speaker, request to be put on as a speaker. You may also contact the board office via email or stop by. Thank you for all the presenters. Debbie? Mr. Travis?
I just wanted to respond to Joelle's statement about the four trees. It's priority 5. I know that we passed the budget priorities at the top of the call. Is it possible to add trees to the language for a priority 5?
We're actually, Sebastian will record during the budget committee and we'll go over the budget and we'll do another resolution.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you, Bev. Okay, so we'll go on to report from, oh, before I go on, are there any other questions? Because I didn't even look up. Okay, so then we'll go on to item 3, report from the Bronx Borough President's Office. Is Alexis Ruiz?
Hello. Hi, how are you? Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not there with you in person. I'm currently at our event, so I'm sad I couldn't be there, but I plan to be there next month in person. I just wanted to say thank you to all of the board members who attended our zoning and land use training. Anyone who hasn't received the information, please reach out to me so that I can share that with you. I don't know if anyone's having issues accessing that information. But yeah, just reach out to me via email or you can call me. Also, the borough president has been in contact with the Jamaican consulate on any needs, you know, that they may need or any resources. So we'll keep you abreast of that and, you know, just keep everyone updated. So please just pray for our family and friends in Jamaica. And I just want to thank you for the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexis. Then I'd just like to introduce our vice chair who will work his way with us, Sergio. You don't want to join us?
I will work my way over.
Okay, fine. Come on, I know you don't like sitting up here, but come on. No, we just started, so you can come on. Okay, so then we have the 50th precinct on Zoom. Okay.
Hey, how are you guys? Can you hear me?
Yes,
It's Lieutenant Wolvers, the Special Ops Lieutenant. I'll give you the 28-day numbers. So for the 28-day period ending this past Sunday, which was October 26th, we broke even on robbery, so it's a 0% change, 7 versus 7. For felony assaults, we are down 52.6%, 9 versus 19 the same period last year. Burglaries, we are down 50%, 7 versus 14. Grand larcenies, we are down 30.9%, 38 versus 55. Then grand larceny autos, we are down 43.3%, 17 versus 30. So an overall crime reduction of 79 versus 126 for the last 28-day period, which would be 37.3%. And then for the year-to-date statistics, we're down currently year-to-date 19.6%.
thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Good evening, Lieutenant.
How are you?
Good. Question, there was a defacement on, at the SS Cheesecake House last month, I believe, late September, with some hate speech on it. Could you give us an update on that?
What location is that? I'm not aware of it.
It's right near 216 West 238th Street, next to the Bronx Home Steakhouse, which is it's between that and the Bronx Ale House, I believe.
I'd have to look into that and get back to you because I'm not actually not aware of it.
I appreciate that. Well, I'll follow up with the photograph. The owners did say they reported it to police.
Okay, yeah. If you could, if you want to email Detective Jams here, and she can liaise between both of us, and I get you some information on that.
Okay, and just to update that, the office is sending the photo that you sent over last night. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Microphone, oh, okay. I just had a question, so, when folks are breaking car windows, is that considered burglary? Where does that fall? We reported a few on our block, Post Road, about 2 weeks ago.
So it really depends. If they're just merely breaking the window, it would be criminal mischief, and it depends on the value if it would make it a felony or not. But if they are then going in and taking something, it depends on the value of the items they took, or if they took credit cards, it would automatically make it a felony. So it really depends on the classification, what's broken and what is taken. And for it to be a burglary, it would have to be a commercial vehicle. So the majority of your cars are going to be either a criminal miss, auto stripping, or a larceny.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Lieutenant.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move on to roll call. Margaret Dole. Sylvia Alexander. Debbie Allen. Present. Constance Barnes Watson. Bob Bender.
Here.
Carol Blake. Joy Campbell Privateer. Present. Sebastian Chilapli. Lee Chong. Dr. Wayne DeBeetham. Ingrid De Leon. Margaret Della present. Althea Ibu. Nicholas Fazio. Miriam Phillips. Stephen Fruit.
Here.
Dr. Julia Gomez. Edward Green. Emily Hausman. Deborah Harris. Rashida Hilliard. Barbara Kale.
She's here.
Here.
Rabbi Kaplan. Laura Levine Pinedo. Nicole Lewis. Steve Matthews. Charles Merdler. Daniel Nunez.
Here.
Angel Ortega.
Present.
Richard Perez. Julie Reyes. Brittany Reynoso. Adriana Rivera. Daniel Rowan. Georgia Santiago. Jessica Sosa. Here. Laura Spalter. Cesar Tabara Costa.
Present.
Jill Towns. Deborah Travis. Sergio Villaverde. Karen Walker. Martin Wolpoff.
Here.
John Timothy Yanyo. We have quorum. Okay, great, thanks. We have quorum, so we'll proceed with the approval of the board minutes from September 9th. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Okay, so we'll take a vote to approve. Any abstentions? Disapprovals? So approved as is. Any discussions on the executive committee meeting minutes of September 3rd? Okay, no discussion, so we'll move on to the chair's report. For those who were not present last month, just to remind you that the order of our agenda has been revamped just slightly. The chairs will report at the beginning of the meeting and the elected officials will follow. We also have a group that's working on looking at the board structure. That group will report to the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee by December and hopefully to the executive board. And then that group will be disbanded in December. So if there are any board members, you should be contacted by this group. I know I keep saying this, but you should be. And in the meantime, you can also contact myself or the board and let us know if you have any thoughts on what you think of the committees that are current. If you feel some should be disbanded or merged, we'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And the reports will be into the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee by December of this year. Yes. Okay. There will be no executive committee meeting in November because then we will be meeting next week. So there will be no executive meeting rather. The next November board meeting, just a reminder, will be held Thursday, November 13th at Manhattan College. Manhattan University, and it says right here. Okay, the office will be closed the day after Thanksgiving, and the office may be closed the last week in December. And if you have any meeting places that you believe that the board should look into, please let Farah and the staff know of any locations that we can look at and have meetings throughout the whole district. And if you see any vacant places that we can possibly look into for the board office, also let us know on that. Okay, do you have any questions, comments? Okay, so then I'll pass this off to the treasurer's report. Joy Campbell, Privateer.
Good evening, everyone. This is the treasurer's report for October. Directing your attention to item number 1, we now have 35,944 left in the board's operating budget, and 1.1 gives the breakdown. If you look at item code 400, that amount, the 15,000 change, that actually includes a cushion of $10,000, which is pretty great. For the allocated, there are several bills that are outstanding, so this report will look different next month. We have a new router, and there were CB8 events and tchotchkes that still have to be paid. So you'll see more of the funds spent, hopefully, for November's report. I'll come back to item 1.2, which is the budget mod. 1.30 funds requested, 0 encumbered. And item 1.4, we now have 56,000 and change left for rent and energy. So to the budget mod, addendum A, we got the approval from the Office of Management and Budget to transfer $12,000 from personal services to OTPS. And so that will increase the amount to a total of $47,944. I'm going to read the resolution now. The following tables detail the current operational budget for fiscal year 26 for Bronx Community Board 8 and the budget modifications necessary to properly reallocate funding to support the work of the board office. Whereas the Office of Management and Budget has confirmed that funds are available to transfer from personal services to OTPS, whereas to support the work of the board office, a budget mod for fiscal year 26 has been prepared, whereas 12,000 from personal services will be transferred to other than personal services, broken down as follows. So that 12,000 is going to go to Code 100 to pay for supplies and materials. Be it resolved, Bronx Community Board 8 approves the budget modification in order to further support the work of the Community Board Office. Any questions?
Okay, so then we'll take a vote. Does anyone disapprove? Abstains? Or pass? Thank you, Joy. Now we'll go on to the district manager's report. Farah Kuehl-Rubin.
Good evening, everyone. This month I've been very busy working on budget priorities. I had budget consultations with my fellow Bronx district managers, Office of Management and Budget, and the city agencies, and I did send the responses to our chairs that were related to the committee from those meetings. The FY27 priorities must be finalized and submitted by tomorrow, so I'll be very busy tomorrow. I had fun tabling at the Boo and Masha Lu event last weekend with Artie, and thank you Bob Bender and our former intern Jalen Adorno for volunteering. I'm waiting to hear if we will get a donation of turkeys again this year to do a turkey giveaway before Thanksgiving. Chair Julie Reyes and I attended a lunch event with BCEQ and Commissioner Aponte at the Van Cortlandt Park Golf House this month about lowering the temperature. Also, Bob Bender and I attended a roundtable lunch with the Department of Transportation Commissioner Idanis Rodriguez and Bronx stakeholders to discuss transportation issues in our communities. Many spoke about their concerns over the loss of parking in their districts. We also voiced our concerns about the many streetlight outages that have been occurring in our district recently. I held my district service cabinet meeting in October and my next one will be in November. Artie and I did several site visits and for meeting spaces so that we can have more meeting spaces in the future. We sent our summer into fall newsletter. I hope you had a chance to see it. We have one copy on the table if you just want to look at it. It's there in color, so it's nice to see. Our search for the new community associate has been moving forward, and I'll let the committee talk more on that. And last but not least, we've been focusing on updating a lot of the technology needs in our office. We've had a lot of issues with the Zoom glitching, so we got a new router that was installed. Turns out now we need a new modem. I just got that installed, and the phones all went down, so we're getting new phones. The printers went down. They were all recalibrated, and I do need to get one of the color printers is kind of kaput, so I'm gonna purchase a new printer for the office. What else? And we just ask for patience with us while we deal with this process. And that is all for me today. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Farah. Okay, so then we're going to move on to committee reports and resolutions. We'll start with the Special Committee on Racial Equity. Margaret?
SCREE will not be meeting this month or in November, but we will be meeting on December 4th. We're actually going to be joining the Broadway corridor walkthrough with economic development tomorrow. Check our minutes for our annual priorities. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll move on to Special Committee on Hudson River Greenway. Bob Bender?
We have no meeting planned for the next month.
Thank you. And then you can report on the Community Associate Search Committee.
We have a small ad hoc committee that's involved in the search for the new community associate. There has been no community associate for several years, as you may know, and Farah and Artie have been doing enormous amounts of work. We normally had 3 people in the office up until just a few years ago. The members of that committee, besides myself, are Cesar Tobar Costa and Margaret. We went through the resumes of the finalists. Julie and Farah had received how many hundred? Almost 300 applications for the position. They winnowed it down to 12, and the 3 of us went through those 12. We have selected a small number of people that we think look like very strong candidates, and we hope to do the interviews with those candidates next month. And of course, it will be the members of the committee as well as Julie and Farah who will do the interviews. So we will report back after that.
Thank you, Bob. We will go into the Youth Committee. Cesar?
Hello. Yes, the Youth Committee did not meet this past month of October because of the holidays, and will be meeting on November 17th, which is Monday, at 6:30 at the office.
Thank you. Traffic and Transportation, Debbie Allen.
Thank you. Good evening, all. The Traffic and Transportation Committee's been very busy for the last 2 months. We had a meeting in September and October, and we are presenting resolutions. The first one is the Department of Design and Construction DDC on the Summit Place Step Street project. And that was one of our budget priorities, and which the committee unanimously support the capital project and its improvement for the Step Street. at Summer Street. And I'm not gonna read it. However, we are requesting for the board vote.
Okay, is there any discussion on the resolution which you all received and read? No discussion, so we'll take a vote. Are there any abstentions? Disapprovals? Approved, pass.
The next one is Manhattan University Parkway Street co-naming. This resolution is being withdrawn.
Thank you.
The next resolution is DDC Safe Street to School near PSIS 307 on Ames Place. And this was also unanimously supported by the Traffic and Transportation Committee. I'm not going to read it. However, this will make it safe for the children entering and exiting the school. It would also create a new water basin upgrade, and it also will help with safety for pedestrians other than the children, and also better visibility for drivers. So we're requesting the board approval.
Okay, any discussion? So we'll take a vote. Disapproves? Abstentions? So we'll approve unanimously.
And the Traffic and Transportation Committee is continue to work with DOT, the MTA, City Bike, and etc. And there's other things that the committee is looking at, and especially working with safety in our community. And our next meeting is going to be on November the 20th.
Thank you, Debbie. Any questions, comments? No, so we'll move on to public safety. Peg Green?
Does the chair want me to read the names or no, for the record of the places? I do it quick if you want. For the
Okay.
resolutions.
For the resolution, public safety has how many resolutions?
We have 14.
Okay, so from the board members, who has not read their resolutions? Maybe for the public, since we are in Zoom?
Yeah, I got it. So Public Safety Committee, we had 2 meetings since the last full board meeting. So we have resolutions from September 16th and also from October 21st meeting. We have 11 renewals. We have Amarok Educational Services LLC, 4513 Manhattan College Parkway, Manhattan University Parkway, whatever you want to call it. We have Malacon Restaurant, 5592 Broadway. We have Cocina Chente Mexican Cuisine, 3535 Riverdale Avenue. College of Mount St. Vincent, 6301 Riverdale Avenue. Home the Bronx Steakhouse, 222, 224, 238th Street. Ayu, got it. Wow, tongue twister. Ayu Sushi, 3235A Johnson Avenue. Kai Fan, 3717 Riverdale Avenue. Greek Express, 3733 Riverdale Avenue. Downey's, 5790 Marshallou Avenue. Frida Tacos, 5786 Marshallou Avenue. Palace of Japan, 3505 Johnson Avenue. Those are all renewals. We had a method of operation change, which is also Cocina Chente at 3535 Riverdale Avenue. And outdoor dining application, which was on Beelbach at 445 West 238th Street. As far as all the renewals are concerned, the 50th precinct had no issues with any of them as far as the statistics coming back. No disturbances, notable disturbances in the past year for any of those businesses. And the committee approved all of these resolutions unanimously. This is for our September 16th meeting. I'd like to take a vote on all of them as a block before I go to the last one for October 21st meeting.
Yes, sir, go right ahead. Are there any discussions on any of the locations? Bob Bender?
I just want to mention that while Manhattan College Parkway will remain Manhattan College Parkway, the College of Mount St. Vincent is now the University of Mount St. Vincent. Just for the record.
It's legally on the application that they still put College of Mount St. Vincent. There's still College of Mount St. Vincent with SLA, they haven't changed it. So it's still College of Mount St. Vincent, that's why we kept it like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I guess you want to call the vote, correct?
Yes, I will call the vote. Are there any other comments? Okay, so are there any objections? Abstentions? Approved.
Okay, so our last resolution was from our October 21st meeting. We had a new application for Noir Restaurant Lounge LLC at 3638 Bailey Avenue. And the committee unanimously disapproved this application. And the reason we disapproved it was, I won't read the resolution, but I'll summarize that they plan to keep the business open till 4 a.m. from Thursday to Sunday, and the owner and the lawyer refused to sign our customary 2 a.m. closing agreement, which we ask all new businesses to sign. In my 8 years on the Public Safety Committee, we have not had one applicant ever refuse during my term here. And our committee, if we had exempted them from that, we would be granting them preferential treatment over any business that came before. I wasn't good with that. Nobody on the committee was good with that. That was the main reason, but there also was, you know, they plan to have live music, security personnel, and their food menu meets the minimum legal food requirements for food service. So it's, you know, it's essentially a nightclub. And that area we have had, it's generated many complaints about drug activity, and there's been arrest for firearms and drugs in that area. So we had many reasons, but the main reason we unanimously decided to disapprove this application was because they refused to sign the 2 a.m. agreement. So we voted unanimously to disapprove. I guess we can have a vote, unless there's any questions for us.
I just like to say that this board has had establishments that we did disapprove of because of similar reasons, and we did let the SLA know, and we put in our objections as to why, as well as with the resolution, and the establishment was not allowed to open. So there is precedent in contacting them and letting them know, even rather than just a resolution, to take it a step further. It has been done on this board. It was done probably before you over on Broadway, and we were able to stop it because they were going to come in similar to that. So that is an option.
Just real quick, we kind of went over this slightly at exec, and I don't think this is probably not the time to make any decisions on this, but it's something I will have to take a look at with you if you're willing in the future.
Yeah, I just want to mention it because you mentioned that, I said before your time, it was Cuckoo's, it was on Broadway, and we were able to stop them.
So, I have a few questions. So we mentioned drug activity. Is that drug activity related to this applicant?
No.
And the shooting or the other, some violent activity, is that related to this applicant?
No.
So the only reason this applicant is getting denied is because they're not agreeing to the 4 a.m. I'm the 2 a.m. They are agreeing to 4 a.m. That's the problem.
That's the main reason. The reason those whereas clauses were added, because having a nightclub in that, besides the 2 a.m., having a nightclub in that particular area, there's other stuff going around that could, you know, we have other areas that have become problematic, And it seems like a blueprint for that type of situation to occur again.
Yeah, so for that, for these reasons, I'm against the resolution. I think the board should not be going after private individuals who are do we know how much money they've invested in this?
No clue.
Right, I mean, these things matter. Are putting money in, they're small businesses, they're employing people, and if other things are going on in the neighborhood, I think that's the police's issue. We're here to hold city agencies accountable, then why aren't these things happening? And as far as the 2 a.m., 4 a.m., I'm always conflicted about, if there's a legal way for you to stay open, and this is how you make your living, and this is how you make money, that we are presuming that we are right when we ask people to do that. And I think that's a presumption we shouldn't impose on private individuals. I'm voting against it, and I'm certainly voting against it because of the other things that kind of meld together. They kind of mesh this applicant with gun violence, this applicant with drug use. And I think that's painting, that's really painting somebody in an unfair light. And certainly I know we discussed, whether we send a follow-up letter with the resolution or not. I think that's very important because now we're actually going out of our way, not just passing a resolution, but actually affirmatively going after a private entity. I think is something that's not what this board is here for, and that we should actually be helping economic development, not hindering it. And I'll stop there.
Thank you, Sergio. Julia had her hand up first and then Hamud.
Just hold the button.
I would like to make a friendly amendment that the language about the area, since there's nothing to do with this applicant, as well as the language about not being aware of any other business, since we are now aware of another business, be stricken from the resolution. Because they don't seem to be accurate at this juncture.
So, can I comment on this, or should I comment on this? Okay, so as far as both of those, the first one, when we did write the resolution, we were unaware, and like I said, during my tenure at Public Safety, I have not seen it. There have been, now it's coming to light that there have been other examples. So I think it is fair to either amend the language or strike it altogether. That's fair. As far as the other one is concerned, I'm not willing to accept that friendly amendment because I do feel it is relevant that the area, we're not inviting a nightclub into an area that has problems like that is not an irrelevant detail. So that I will not change the amendment.
Would you be willing to clarify that it has nothing to do with this business and is exclusively about the area? Because I think Mr. Villaverde's earlier point, it is conflating the two issues, that they have nothing to do with previous violence or substance misuse or anything else that's happened there. They happen to go into a location with that history. And while I understand that is a concerning factor, and it was for the committee, I think it should be really clear that they have nothing to do with that. We're not saying they had anything to do with that. We have concerns about those two things intersecting, but we're not saying that they're going to cause this or that they're responsible for things that have already happened there.
Right. I don't think it does say that. It does. It specifically says the location. It doesn't make any reference to the applicant having anything to do with drug activity. All it's saying is the location of the establishment is an area that's generated many complaints about drug activity in the past few years, and arrests have been made. It's a relevant detail, I feel, and it doesn't point its finger at the applicant as far as the language is concerned.
Then I just want to follow up, then if it doesn't have anything to do with the applicant, then why is that paragraph there? Like if drug activity has nothing to do with the applicant?
It has to do with the location. 3638 Bailey Avenue.
We had Emily and then Deb.
Okay, sorry. Now, we're good?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. Okay, so you mentioned in here that like no other business has refused to sign the 2 AM closing agreement. Was this business aware that nobody has ever, did they know that we have a custom of asking people to sign 2 AM closing agreement and that no other business has ever come before the community board and refused to sign a 2 AM closing agreement? Because I wonder if we said to them, I wonder if we had said to them, oh, you know what, no one else in the neighborhood or nobody else within the community board has refused to sign this 2 AM closing agreement while in their first year of operation, they would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that that was the custom of the neighborhood. They would have, for sure, we'll go ahead and sign that if they would have been more of a, were they made aware of that?
They were made very aware of that. We told them that at the meeting and nobody on the committee had knowledge of what Sergio and Julie just said that for, I guess it was before 8 years ago that there were people who had not signed it, but we were not aware of anybody. And we made it perfectly clear to them that this is the custom of what we ask every new business. And we asked them multiple times and they just, the lawyer and the owner refused. You're welcome.
So I just wanted to speak in favor of the resolution. I understand why folks we want to be clear that the applicant themselves is not responsible for the conditions at the location. However, the location itself does have a history of drug use or drug vending. It's the folks selling drugs on that particular section of Bailey almost every day. And that while the applicants aren't causing that situation, the people who go to a nightclub are the people who live nearby or who are, already on the sidewalk who are local. And so it seems very foreseeable that the folks who are out front selling the drugs will go inside and buy drinks and they'll become the regulars at this nightclub. And that we've seen that be a problem in other locations. So we definitely want to take our job seriously here in terms of vetting these applications. And that certainly a lot of money has been spent in getting this business set up. A lot of money has been spent getting Talilia and operating Talilia and the deli and all of the other businesses on Bailey. And the folks who own their apartments and rent their apartments and live in the neighborhood also want a safe place to live. And they don't want it to blow up into a place where people are drinking, double parking, doing drugs potentially, and cause like where a real menace could really blow up in that particular part of Bailey. So those things give me pause. And it's a storefront. It could be a pet store, right? It doesn't have to be a nightclub. And so that's why I'm supporting the resolution.
Yeah, make it easy for me. I'm in support because the committee also took into account that since everyone has done this, regardless of the neighborhood in Community Board 8, when they come before us, it would be the other establishments chopped liver. How could we make an exception for this establishment? We have a policy. For new members, it's only for 1 year. And it has worked for us. And also as the agencies, the police, everyone get to know that establishment, it just gives, we find it has worked. And making no exceptions is no exceptions. If you start making exceptions, you just can't do that. It's not fair to the other establishments. So at this juncture, unless we change our policy, this is what we do. And that's why it was unanimous.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a really quick question. I know we're having a conversation or talking, one or the other. I'm wondering if the people were aware that this meeting would be happening and so that they could state their concerns about our concerns.
Yes, we told them, I tell every applicant that we're gonna, this is not the final step at the Public Safety Committee. It'll go before the full board for a vote on every application that comes to us.
I forgot one last. No, it's up to the state.
Excuse me, Laura.
SLA, not us.
I'll let you guys get away with it.
you know, but please wait to be called upon. And if Stephen had his hand up, let him speak again. Well, you yield, so we're gonna move on.
We're only advisory, the community board.
I know.
SLA makes the final determination. I just want new members to know.
I know, but the twins here, if we're gonna have a report, let's be fair, let everyone speak.
Very, very quickly, I just want to say that it would be the easiest thing in the world for the Oak Safety Committee to rubber stamp every application of this sort in terms of SLA type stuff each time without getting into it, without sticking their necks out. So I commend them for the very few times when they step in and disapprove. So I just think they deserve credit for that.
Thank you. Sebastian?
I'm just looking for clarification because we go with this 2 AM, right? Do we have data from 5 or somewhere that there is more activity after 2 AM than before 2 AM? What is the reasoning behind this 2 AM?
The reasoning behind, I guess that would go back to the beginning of, I don't know if I could accurately answer that. I could give you my own interpretation of it, but maybe some of the board members who have a little more experienced than I can give a more accurate depiction of why.
Actually, is that data driven? Like, do we have data from 5 that there's more activity between 2 and 4 than 12 and 2?
It was.
Because we insist on 2 AM. So
Right.
we need to have a solid data for that.
With permission of the chair, it was when Arlene Feldmeyer was the chair of public safety. I said on the committee, actually. I hate to admit it, this was my idea. As much as I'll publicly admit it, it's something that Community Board 12 in Manhattan did. And I had representatives of people, and this was a practice that they had. And it was brought over, but there's no data on any of this. This is completely just, an arbitrary time and number. There is no data that I know of that says answers that, or the drug issue or the shooting issue data specifically. We use anecdotal data to say, oh, we think there are things there, but I don't think that there's any data per se.
I just would like to say, I don't think it's too arbitrary. My thought behind it would be, if you have a nightclub situation, so we have other businesses, the 5 is getting called a lot, to break up noise and answer 311 calls. And we have residents in buildings across the street behind the place. Is it worse for them if it's going on till 4 in the morning, or is it going on till 2 in the morning? So that would be my layman terms explanation for that.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on Zoom, any board members on Zoom have any questions or comments? And then we'll take a vote.
I will amend that the one that Julia asked though, which I think is proper that we take that out, the 4th clause. Because we are aware of it now.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, so all the board members are up to speed? Okay, are there any abstentions? Daniel? Are there any objections?
We have Sergio, Jessica Sosa, Julia Gomez, and Deborah Harris. Anyone on Zoom?
Marty, how do you vote? Marty, how do you vote?
Yes.
Marty, are you in favor or?
In favor.
I agree with the committee.
And Barbara?
Yes, they're both, they're yes.
Okay, everyone else is a yes then.
So that's it for our resolutions. Public Safety Committee, there'll be members of the Public Safety Committee also joining the collaborative commercial corridor walk tomorrow. We hope to see more people. That we're going to meet at Shake Shack 5510 Broadway between 2 and 4 and break up into groups. And that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you. I just want to say, and if I was a little off, I have to publicly apologize because I felt like I snapped to Laura. Because I want people to speak, but give everybody else time. Especially if you're not called upon. Thank you. And Laura, I extend my apologies because I felt like I shouldn't have been that hard. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Parks and Recreation. Travis.
Right, good evening, everybody. Our last Parks meeting, we've actually met twice since the last board meeting. We met on September 29th, and then we met again on October 22nd. We've been dodging around the various holidays. And we will continue to do that. Our next Parks Committee meeting will be on December 11th because our regular scheduled Parks meeting is on Thanksgiving evening, and then after that, Christmas Eve. So we are all about holidays this year. We have two resolutions. The first one is regarding Ford Independence Playground. The context for this is that the mats in the playground that currently are there all of the playground equipment is from the 90s. The mats have started kind of buckling and rolling and pulling up, and so children have been falling all over the place and hurting themselves. There was a petition by parents that went around about a year and a half ago. The Parks Department responded by putting the playground on providing funding for a new playground reconstruction, and they presented their plan at our September meeting. We took it back to the Ford Independence Park Neighborhood Association and other people who live in the community, got feedback from them, gave it to Parks. They did another version of it. Of the plan, and then they presented that at our October meeting. So they've been very collaborative, and I want to applaud them for the taking our feedback and actually integrating it into the plan. So that's the first resolution, and I'd like to call for a vote unless there's any questions.
Any discussions? Okay, any objections to the resolution? Abstentions? Pass unanimously.
All right, great.
Let me just check with the Zoom. Marty and Barbara?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Gonna be a great playground.
Thank you.
It's expected to be completed in summer of 2026, so there's still time to make children for that playground. So the next resolution is for the support of lighting in the Sid O'Garden ball field. I will confess that I had not heard of this ball field when I first heard about the request for lights, and so it's actually kind of fun to learn about new locations here in the district. The context for this is that the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League have been playing at Sid O'Garden Ball Field for 72 years. You heard the head of the organization speak at the public gallery session. Due to the way light happens and sun and our time zones, in the fall, they run out of light. And so they're not able to play during weeknights after school, or really after work. During the weekday, they can only play on the weekends for their fall season. So what they would like to do is they would like to have lighting installed in the ball field so that they can play a full season with weeknight Little League games. Sid Field, I guess as it's called, is only for Little League. The size of the field does not allow for adult games or high school games, and that the North Riverdale Little League is the sole permit holder, meaning they're the only ones who are allowed to request permits. The other thing that we learned during the course of the discussion is that the Parks Department actually operates, they have an outside vendor that controls lights according to permit. So we believe that the normal closing time for the ball field is 10 p.m., but we believe that the Parks Department would be able to accommodate a 9 p.m. closing. The reason we asked for that in the resolution is that there are homes that live there's several homes that are just across the street on Mosholu who are concerned about light coming in their windows. They're concerned about double parking. They're concerned just about kind of general activity in the area. The hope is that with this resolution, We will be requesting the dark sky lights, so that the lighting really does stay on the playground. The Parks Department is committed to that type of lighting for environmental reasons, as well as just, this is not the first time that that homeowners have been concerned. And that the Little League themselves has agreed to work with their parents to make sure that there's not a lot, that they're not double parking, they're not causing any, kind of issues. And I think it's just worth saying that, it's in a time like this, it's a lot of kids are known for being on their screens. And I think that the committee overall and myself, we all really just kind of applaud the North Riverdale Little League for baseball and softball for getting kids outside, for growing, and that the lights will allow an additional 150 kids to be able to play in the fall. And that's just a kind of a wonderful thing. So I hope you support this resolution. And I'm ready to answer any questions you got.
Any discussions? I'm gonna go Julia, Laura, anyone else? And Steve.
I was just, and I believe, because I did try to read everything, but my brain is Swiss cheese some nights. It says 9 weeks here. Do we know how many actual games? Like, is it gonna be 5 days a week? Is it gonna be once a week? Is it, that's a lot different in the impact on the game, right?
Yeah, so right now they play in the spring, and because the days get longer, they kind of move into the earlier season. It's a little bit darker, so they would pick up a few games in early spring, but then mostly they're out of there by the time the sun is setting. And so this is primarily in the fall, so we're talking September, October, and a little bit of November. It is 7 days a week that they play during the weeknights, and then this would also allow them to play later on the weekends. Yeah, so it's every day.
Is this on? Okay. Well, it's always the devil's in the details, and having lived across the street for over 50 years from the Little League field, and I support everything they do with the children. It's wonderful. But I do want to note that they do play in the fall, in September and October after school, and that for many years, they did play games in the fall that started at 4 or 5 o'clock, and that's why they were able to finish, and they had a fall season. Now, what we learned at the meetings is that the parents cannot get there until 6 o'clock. So that, of course, cuts into the daylight time, which is why the Vinmont homeowners request to make it 8:30, because these are little kids and they could play until 8:30 and they will certainly finish their game if they're starting at 6 o'clock, because their games are not that long. It would cut down on, we love the Little League. We've lived across from it. The noise and the screaming and the yelling, it's beautiful. It's it's healthy. It's part of the game. But 9 o'clock, it's a bit much. And that's why we never complain about anything, because it's always been during the day. We're used to it. Like the gallery speaker, we used to the double parking. Devil's in the details. So it would be, to me, more respectful to the little kids, because the older kids cannot play on Sid Field in the Little League. They have to play at Kelly or at Seton, because this is a small field. I also want to say that I wear many hats. Everybody who knows me, and I've been involved in a lot of things. And because I live right across the street and I'm involved in Vinmont, I called the Conflict of Interest Board, and I just told them about, Vinmont and the issue. And in the past, they always said, oh, you can vote. Do you have a fiduciary interest in anything having to do with this? Whether it was I was fighting Live Nation and Van Cortlandt Park or this or that, and I belonged to Broadway Community Alliance and different things. And I said, no. But they said, well, you can't vote because there is a fiduciary interest. because of the field, your property value is going to go down. I am stunned and shocked that I cannot vote and that determination has been made. And Marty comes after me on rules and ethics. He's going to talk about this.
Can we stay on topic in regards to the resolution?
Well, why I can't vote, and I think it's relevant that they feel that property values will go down, but we make the best of it. We live across from a field, and you know, I want to talk to the resolution itself, please. Today, an amended resolution was sent out, and it's very puzzling. It's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It says, whereas of the 8 single and 2-family houses, we're 20 houses. And it says directly adjacent to the baseball field, 5 households signed the letter, 26 did, and opposed to the field. And it says 3 signed a petition in support. Having seen the Little League petition, that number is 2, because one of the addresses, that person doesn't live in Vermont, hasn't for many, many years. So I don't know, where did you get the numbers, Deb?
Are those all your questions? Are those all your
Well,
questions?
it has to be corrected. I mean,
So your questions are about time, and then your
yeah,
questions are about the 6 whereas?
right,
Okay.
right.
All right, so let me start with time.
Just to be clear, we're not gonna go back and forth.
Yeah, we're not going back and forth. That's why I wanted to get all of them. Is
It's not
that all, are
committee
those all of your
meeting.
questions?
Okay.
Well, where
Those
did
two.
these numbers come from? Because it's bewildering.
Okay, that's it? Those two.
And I'm just registering that the neighborhood, the Vinmont houses would like an 8:30 closing. And that's why, well, I wouldn't support this, but I can't vote anyway.
Thank you.
But I understand that this is, a very important issue to many people.
Okay, so Deb's gonna answer, and then Steve, you had your hand up, and then somebody on this side? And then Sergio. So Laura, if you can pass the mic, because Deb's gonna keep her mic, because they're gonna address the questions to you. You can answer hers first, then we'll go to.
So the first question is about time, which I totally get because, obviously we want to have, it's a residential neighborhood. We want folks to be able to enjoy their peace. We pressed on this quite a bit during the committee. We talked about it a lot. As Laura stated, the parents are really the ones who bring kids to baseball games now because parents are working and the kids are not just all living next door. The parents are bringing them after work, and with more families working, it has to kind of happen after work. People can't bring their kids there, and kids generally just don't walk by themselves to the Little League games anymore, for better or for worse. So the understanding is that basically the games will begin about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and that the games will be over by about 8:30, between 8 and 8:30, and that the 9 o'clock time for the lights is to give the adults the opportunity to get the bases and all of the equipment and stuff off the field before the lights go off. What we didn't want to have happen was to have the kids, be exiting in the dark for lots of reasons, particularly because we're going to need to find all the property they left behind, their sweaters and their glove and all other stuff, right? So that's the time, the reason for the time. But normally the Parks Department would say 10 o'clock, and the North Riverdale baseball and softball folks said that they could make 9 o'clock work, and that they would be off the field completely by the time the lights are off. So that's time. On the matter of the whereas, one of the requests that I received during the exec committee was to make an adjustment to the previous whereas. For 26 residents of the Vinmont Houses neighborhood signed a petition of opposition to this proposal, citing concerns of double parking, glare from the lighting, and additional noise. So these are the folks that we received a petition from, which basically received kind of 2 petitions. One was people in support, and one were people opposed. I was myself a little bit confused by what Vinmont Houses was. I thought that maybe other people in the district might be confused as well. And I thought it gave the impression that there were a lot of houses that faced onto the ball field. when there are specifically 8 houses that are directly on Mashalou that face onto the ball field, and then the rest of the Vinmont houses kind of wrap around the corner. And so they're not as affected by the lights, they're more affected by the sound, which I think that's what that was my understanding of the difference. But I just wanted it to be kind of clear that we're talking as far as directly adjacent to the field, we have basically these 8 1 and 2 family homes. And that when I looked up the addresses on the petitions, I just compared them and said, okay, who lives in these 8 houses? Because that me seems like a matter of interest. Like I wanted to be clear about it. So of that, that's where I got the numbers for the 5 households that signed a petition opposed to the lighting, and the 3 that signed the petition in support. Whether people still live there, who lives there, if they live there with their girlfriend, I do not know. But I just know that that they signed petitions, and that's basically how the petitions lined up for those households directly on Mashalou. And then as far as the conflict of interest board, I'm really sorry, because that just seems like, once again, a complete overstepping of the conflict of interest board to interfere with our own ability to have opinions about things in our neighborhood. And I do think that Laura has a right to vote on something that directly impacts her, and that the conflict of interest board historically has always been very clear that it's about true economic impact. It's your job is actually, you're going to make money from something, not simply that you're going to be tangentially impacted or affected by something like this. And so I'm really sorry for Laura not being able to vote tonight. And I think we do really need to look into why the conflict of interest board is interfering with our ability to have our opinion in our own neighborhoods. Yeah.
Okay, and Marty is, no, we're gonna move on, and Marty is continuing on to that.
I'm gonna raise my hand respectfully.
And respectfully, because I know this was a long meeting in Parks and we went back and forth, let's just let everyone speak their mind, and then we're gonna vote, because this is a matter of, are we going to allow the lights or not? You spoke, Laura.
Incorrect on your numbers.
Well, she answered, I'm not going to go back and forth. She answered your questions. She said why. Now we're gonna move on to Steve. Steve, and if you want to defer, then we'll go on to Bob. Laura, I'm not gonna do this, okay? I'm not. Steve?
Just very quickly, I don't know if as a friendly amendment, it would be helpful to be more specific and instead of the word adjacent, to say opposite. If those are the houses fronting on Mashalou, they're opposite the field.
Okay, I accept that.
Adjacent.
I accept that amendment.
That may make a little difference. I hope that's helpful. The second thing is a little more substantive, and that is, I wonder if it is possible, this would also be an amendment, if not a friendly one, to establish by resolution that the people administering the league and the field would agree that the games will end by a time certain. The lights may have to stay on for the reason that Deb explained. They may have to stay on also because they can't be set to end at 8:30. That may be a technological issue as well. But if there's a commitment by the league to end the games by 8:30, I think that would go some of the way to satisfying residents that the commotion, the cheering, et cetera, which is all great, but that it'll, cut off a half hour before everything is collected. And so the fact that sunset is usually, or a little bit after sunset is usually the end of the game, even in the more daylighty times of the year, with the longer days, it really would not be, they shouldn't be in any better position to play a longer game under the lights than they are under natural light in the longest day of the year. So just a suggestion.
Do you want to answer that? Because I think they answered that at the committee meeting.
Yeah, I think the really two things. One, that the baseball league is really committed to a start time, and then they are committed to kind of rushing, getting the game completed at, according to the normal time. I do think they said that there was and maybe Bob can speak to this when Bob speaks, that there was a certain time at which they don't start new innings. In order to ensure that the games do finish at a reasonable hour. These are little kids, so everybody wants to get them off the field. But I don't think it makes sense for us as a community board to try to dictate to the Little League what time their game should end. But I do think, and we talked about this in the meeting, that if there's a problem later on, that the community board is still here and we're still able to work with the Little League the Little League has been on this field for 72 years. They're much loved by the community, and I don't think there's any reason not to trust that they would have the community's interest in heart if there was an issue later on that we needed to address and work with them on.
I was only making the point that they shouldn't be staying on the field playing the game any later than they can on June 21st. That's all.
Okay. The hands, Laura, I'm gonna do Bob, Sergio. Your hand was up before. Okay, because Marty raised his hand too. I'm gonna do Bob, Sergio, Jessica, and Marty. And just to make a note, this was a very lengthy discussion in parts. A lot of issues were discussed. And I understand where you're coming from, Laura, but we have to let everyone speak. So it's gonna be Bob, Jessica. Wait, did you have your hand up?
Okay, so just a couple of things, as you said, Julie, yes, this was a thorough discussion in the Parks Committee. We actually discussed it on 2 different meetings. And the final vote was unanimous in favor of the resolution. I just want to provide that background. Whether the numbers are exactly right or slightly incorrect about the number of people in Vinmont and all that, that's not central to this issue. You know, whether it was 6 people or 20 people or whatever, we know that it's an inconvenience for the people in Vinmont, and we understand that. And that was the reason for making sure that the lights are focused on the field as much as possible, for making sure that the lights go up by 9 p.m. I'm sure nobody in the league's going to want the games to go any longer than they have to go. They may very well be over by 8:30, and if they start at 5:30, frankly, I'll be very surprised if they aren't. I should say I coached in the league for several years before I joined the community board. There was no fall baseball back then. There simply wasn't. The introduction of fall baseball is more recent, and it's wonderful that it happens, because it was a shame that that ball field was empty for most of the year, and now there are games in the fall. What the lights would do is the fall games would be not just on the weekend, they would be during the weekday. So it would be a very significant change. And as everybody said, it's, you know, great for the kids to be outside. What has changed in the league since I coached there, which was more than 20 years ago, is that everybody who played back then was in North Riverdale. The kids could go home from school, grab their uniforms and their gloves and so on, and walk to the ball field. Now the catchment area, if that's the correct term, for the league is much wider geographically. There are many more kids playing ball now than back then, and most of those kids cannot walk to the ball field, which is why the games that once did start at 4 o'clock or 4:30 now start at 5:30, because the parents have to be home. They have to drive the kids. That we have to wait for umpires and managers to get home. So it's, you know, it's not the league now that it was 20 or 25 years ago. And frankly, the access is much, much better now. And adding lights will enhance that access for many more kids. And that's why I'm strongly supporting this resolution.
Thank you, Bob. Jessica?
Hi, I just had a question regarding, who is paying for the lights? And if at all, they're including any kind of shade fencing that can support, you know, just the glare issue that people are talking about. So I'm just interested who would be funding it or how it'd be funded.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Parks Department does not have a standing capital budget, and this is a capital project for sure. They're going to be running the electricity from Vinmont Park to the ball field, and then from there they'll be installing the lights. Because they don't have a standing capital budget of their own, everything is paid for through elected officials. So in this case, State Senator Rivera has said that State Senator Rivera has said that he's interested in potentially funding this project. Also, Council Member Eric Denowitz has apparently expressed support for it.
And about the shade fencing, is it, so it would be up to the elected official to include that with the capital?
So the way the capital project would work is that the Parks Department, they wanted to hear from the community board, which was also very refreshing, I will say. They wanted to know kind of generally what the temperature was of the community and whether the community supported it. So now they'll go do their actual study and figure out what is needed and what the cost is. And then if they have the full funding for it, then they'll begin to do a design. Once they've done a preliminary design, they'll come back to the community board, and then we can actually see what exact lights they're thinking about and where they're being placed, and kind of all this detail through the regular capital project approval, like we just did with Ford Independence Playground.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Marty?
Yeah, I'm having a bandwidth problem, so I hope you can understand me. And I blanked out during the period of time when discussion about the Conflict of Interest Board. So if it's relevant now, I want to say it. Otherwise, I'll wait for my report.
We'll wait for your report, Marty, because it has nothing to do with the resolution. But do you want to speak on the resolution itself? About the lights in the park for the kids?
I think he's frozen.
No, I don't want to speak to the resolution. I
Oh,
want
no,
to
we'll
speak to
wait for your report, Marty. We'll wait for the law, rules, and ethics. We're discussing the resolution and we're gonna take a vote in about a minute. Did they freeze?
So the resolution passed unanimously, so I'd like to
Wait.
call a vote.
One more speaker, and then we're gonna vote.
Thank you. So just to clarify, we are gonna see this again.
We are gonna see this again.
So what's being requested of us is just our opinion to get the ball sort of rolling.
Yeah, the normal parks process would bring it back to the committee for approval once there's actually a design. We also included it just to be sure as an additional therefore date resolve. It should be probably on the back. Maybe that's what. I'm gonna double check it's there. Yeah, be it further resolved that we are requesting that they return to the committee upon completion of the preliminary design for lighting at the field.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to vote. Are there any abstentions? This is with cause though, right? That's Ed abstain and Laura. She
Laura
abstained.
is
She
abstention for
present but ineligible to vote. Present but ineligible to vote. So Laura's vote, since she cannot vote for a reason, her vote does not count for a no. When you abstain like Ed, that counts as a no. We're doing votes right now, Laura. So does anyone disapprove the resolution? Anyone on Zoom disapprove of the resolution?
No.
Or abstain?
Nope.
Okay, so then all else approved. Okay,
Thank you. That's the end of my report.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, so then the next committee is law, rules, and ethics. Marty?
What great timing. Just note that when Laura advised me that the Conflict of Interest Board had said she could not vote, I was somewhat surprised, to say the least. I have been teaching, preaching, whatever word, that unless you specifically have an economic interest in what is taking place, you have the right to vote. Any community board member, we have interest in whatever happens the next block, the block after, the entire community board. And so I found this totally out of line, and I've been in communication with the Conflict of Interest Board. But I want to note, if you can see it, I handed this out in the orientation booklets for the last 3 years that Laura's conducted those. And we've had Alex Kipp from the Conflict of Interest Board come and speak to the board itself, speak to our committee, and he has handed these out. And specifically, They give examples of when you can and cannot vote. Example number 4, a vote on the renewal. Well, this is about a restaurant thing where a person owns one restaurant and store down the block, a restaurant is opening. Can, as a community board member, even though he owns a restaurant in competition, because he does have an economic interest. And in whether Laura said it or COIB down, who knows? It's totally speculative, and therefore she does not have a financial interest as defined by COIB. In example 5, the question is of a board member of a nonprofit organization. And the answer is, you may vote on a resolution even if the organization has taken a policy position on the resolution. So even though she may have signed the petition, that does not disqualify her either. So I'm somewhat distressed with COIB. I've been in communication. I've pointed these issues out. They claim they need to have a board meeting of the Conflict of Interest Board to decide whether or not which direction to take. I find that obscene and I find that ridiculous, but we're gonna hold our own till we see what happens. Obviously, Laura was unable to vote, and I think that's my first item. My second item is you have 2 resolutions from the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee concerning our bylaws. As I noted last night, I love our bylaws. I love the people who wrote them originally some decades ago, and it hurts me to come here with a request for an amendment. But you look at the first one, an Article 6 on committees. An issue came up last year. I don't know why it came up suddenly, but basically, if you read what exists now in the bylaws, I have copies, 2 sentences next to each other don't seem to make sense. They seem to be contradictory. So if the board chair leaves office for whatever reason, and it lists the whole possibilities, then the vice chair automatically becomes chair. The next sentence says, if a committee, it doesn't say committee, if a chairperson under the same conditions resigns, then there has to be a vote. And we have taken votes many times. And what's supposed to be here is that the first, even though it doesn't say it, the implication was, and supposed to be, that if the chair of the board is the first case, automatically succeeded by the vice chair. And the second one is a committee chair, which requires a vote to replace the committee chair. So it's not clear, and we have written a resolution for a bylaws change, which we hope clarifies that issue entirely. So one sentence is crossed out, and the new sentence is splits up committee chair. I'm the wrong one. So it's really the second resolution. I'll continue. So we tried for a while to add words to make it more, clarify it. And it seems the more words we added, the less, the more confusing it became. And so what we're asking to do is change the current bylaws, which has that strange combination of sentences. And we broke down into 3 paragraphs, basically 2 concepts. Paragraph number 1 talks about specifically the board chairperson being replaced by the vice chair, who will complete the remainder of the term, but continues, should the vice chairperson, for whatever reason, not want to succeed the chairperson, then we ask the secretary, then the treasurer, to fill the term in the interim. It means there will be an election. If that situation occurs, there will be an election to replace the chairperson, and secretary treasurer would fill in for a 2-month period until the election could be held. The third paragraph goes back and talks only about the committee chairperson, in which case if a committee chairperson steps aside, then there will be a special election to fill that vacancy. And the middle paragraph, we went further to say the question of succession. If the board chairperson is no longer capable of serving and the vice chairperson doesn't want to take over, then you have a special election to follow. So that tries to clarify those issues. I hope you've read this, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to take this. If we pass this tonight, which I hope we do, it needs to be passed a second time next month before the bylaws are changed. So I'll stick with that item first.
Thank you, Marty. So which one are you going to do first?
The one about succession of the chairs.
Okay.
I messed up the first one. I'll go back to that.
Okay, so we're going to, if anyone has any discussion on the succession of the positions of the officers or even committee chairs. Everyone has read the resolution. Does anyone have any questions? It's just basically they're cleaning up the bylaws to make it clear on what would happen should the chairperson of the board or the committee is unable to perform the duties as chairperson, and who will step up. Any questions or comments? Okay, so then we're going to take a vote. Any abstentions? Objections? Okay, that one passes, Marty. So now we're going to do the second resolution, which deals with basically a committee to be able to
The
have
second one, which
at least-
is on your list. Are you? Am I recognized?
Yes, no, you are.
Okay. Thank you. The first resolution, which I got messed up with here. The first resolution is a panic, which I created, which is a concern with term limits and the fact that within the next year, 2 years, there's going to be a major brain drain. And it was felt that the current chairpersons of committees ought to be doing their best to try and make sure there's somebody on the committee who is capable of being elected. The chairperson doesn't pick the successor. It's the board that picks the successor. But it'd be great to have people lined up who know what the committee does and how the committee operates. So so the suggestion was, which started from me, and the LRE recommended that chairpersons, if they so choose, to select a second vice chair, just for training purposes. We made that recommendation, and then it was pointed out that the bylaws as currently exist uses the letter A, the word A, which says specifically or interpreted specifically as being a single person can serve as vice chair, no other. And so LRE wants to change the sentence. We crossed out the sentence with the word A and hope to put in its place at their discretion, each committee chairperson shall structure the committee with at least one vice chair who shall be an appointed member of the board. So it's discretionary on the part of the vice chair, but the opportunity to appoint the second vice chair as a trainee is what is being suggested. That's it.
Okay, does everyone understand? The next bylaws is just to change it so that a committee chairperson may appoint more than one vice chair. So that does anyone have any questions or comments? Because I do have one comment. No? Okay, so then I'll just give my comment. Oh, I'm relinquishing my chair.
The remainder of the debate. Yes,
Yeah.
Julie Reyes is recognized.
Thank you, Sergio. And it's just a comment, because I know I'm on the island on my own on this one. I personally just do not believe that committees need more than one vice chair. I think it would be a false hope for the person who is vice chair to, even second vice chair, third vice chair, to think that they are automatically going to succeed in the position as chair. I think the committee members should be more engaged, and that the chairperson should train all the committee members who wish to be participate and train. Many of the chairs in this room are chairs. They weren't vice chairs. They were committee members who were asked upon to help out the committees. And I think if one committee has two vice chairs and another committee has one and another has three, I just don't think it's called for us. I think that most board members should participate, period, because when it's time to elect the chairperson, that comes before the full board. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on resolution? Seeing none, we'll call the question. Marty, this came from the committee, right? Okay, so we don't need a second. Any abstentions? Any nays? 1, 2, anyone on 3?
Correct.
We have those. Anyone on Zoom?
No,
Debbie Allen, Margaret, Julie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sergio didn't.
Okay, the resolution passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you.
Marty, anything else?
Well, I would just merge now land use and
Okay.
LRE. Land use LRE had a joint meeting on September 30th for the purpose of discussing the 3 items of concern on the ballot in November. And the conversation led to talk about where we thought that the resolutions were misleading, and I fear that people seeing the word affordable housing would vote for it, as I would probably vote for it if that's what it said. But the fact is, there are so many misleading ideas floating there. There's no guarantee of affordable housing. There's no definition of affordable housing. There's no how long an apartment has to be held affordable. There's all kinds of questions that are not answered in the multi-page document that explains what's going on as opposed to the single blurb. And so we were very distressed by it. But as a board, we are limited, and we are not able to make a resolution, offer a resolution, discuss a resolution. So that did not happen. What could happen and did happen is a number of us, 8 to be exact, because there was no real meeting, and we met individually off campus, so to speak. And 8 of us signed a joint letter to the Riverdale Press and sent to our elected officials indicating 10 reasons why we thought this should not pass. And I would recommend, if you can get if you have not read it, get a copy of the Riverdale Press from 2 weeks ago, in which the letter was printed, and it explains all that we're doing, all that we believe. Those 8 of us believe. So I just bring that to your attention, and that's it for my report.
Thank you, Marty. Any questions or comments? No. Okay, so then we're going to go on to housing. Rashida?
Good evening. Yes. So since our last full board meeting, we actually met twice, once on September 18th, in which we set our calendar goals. We just discussed what we want to do for the year. One of our goals is to create robust resolutions. Yeah, and then our second goal is to basically see if we can get guest speakers who can speak to the needs of the community. With that being said, our last meeting was on October 27th, this past Monday, and we had an organization called the Center for New York City Neighborhoods come to speak to us. Actually, it was one guest speaker who came to speak to us. Despite the name being the Center for New York City Neighborhoods, they actually service the state. But what I do want to point out is that there are a lot of programs available to people who either want to weatherize their homes, they work towards flood prevention, even terms that I don't really know or understand, but resilient retrofitting. The guest speaker spoke to people who are owners of single to 4 family homes, but there are resources for co-op and condo owners. So I would advise everyone to, if you're interested in learning about even reverse mortgages or scam preventions, things of that nature, I would advise you to go to the housing minutes from October 27th, click on the link for the website, and there is a lot of information that could be of assistance to anyone who is in a home and wants to keep the home, or if you're looking for affordable ways to purchase a home. So that's where I will end on that. Our next meeting is on November 24th, and we are expecting possibly to have a guest speaker from HPD, and that's that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is anyone reporting for Health and Hospital? Okay, Julia, great, thank you. Where's the mic?
Really quick, we met on September 10th. We're just kind of brainstorming priorities. We do meet the day after this meeting normally, so we had a staple application that the committee approved, but it only happened. For those of you who might not know, it's a practice that we kind of do this so that we can say, it's not that we don't support them, it's that we didn't have time to all meet together, so you didn't get a resolution from us, not because we don't support it, but because the way the calendar was. Not going to be the consensus regrets because he's out of the country at a conference, but we will meet again on, November 12th.
There is a resolution.
But it already happened, that's what I just.
But we could still vote on the.
We can vote on something that happened last month. Awesome.
We have a before like that.
So it was a staple application for I don't think it was actually a block party, but that's it's coming into my head. Which is done in conjunction with a farmer's market. There's never been any problems. They've been doing this for a while. They answered all of our questions and were very nice to talk to. Any questions?
Okay, are there any abstentions? Objections? Pass. Thank you, Julia. Okay. Environment and sanitation. Laura, you're presenting for?
At our last meeting, we discussed Jerome Park Reservoir updates, New York, New Jersey Harbor and tributaries. The minutes were distributed with some very good links and articles. If you're interested in new garbage can rules and how you can try to get a new one only in commercial areas or different maps, there are some very good recent current websites in the minutes. And let's see, our next meeting will be held on November 19th, and that's it.
Thank you. Angel? Angel, press the button until it lights up. Then pass that mic to the other side, please. We need each side to have a mic. You just press it until the light comes on.
Program that's in Harlem now, that put the bin in the street. And then the truck comes up and picks it up. Yeah. Exactly. So that pilot program is in Harlem. It's been in Harlem for about a year. It went to vote yesterday from what I heard. Did you know anything about it? Did it pass for all 5 boroughs?
Can you give Laura the mic so they can hear her? Thank you.
I'm not up to speed 100%, so I don't want to say it's what I was referring to that we discussed at our meeting were just the litter baskets, not this. But we will have Department of Sanitation come to a meeting very, very soon. And those are all good questions.
The bigger thing here is that they're raising charge.
Use the mic so they can hear you on Zoom.
The bigger issue here is that the co-ops are gonna be charged per unit, from what I'm hearing. I added for the year to have these bins there in those spaces and outside the property. And they pick up the garbage from those bins. So there is a fee involved to the buildings.
I think we definitely have to have that, and housing would be very interested in that too, because it's the co-ops, it's every building. And very, very important topic, so we'll pass that on, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Sounds like a good joint meeting. Thank you, Laura. We're going to Education, Libraries, and Cultural Affairs. Sylvia? Okay. So the first one is the resolution for Boo-hoo, I say Boo-hoo, Boo Mashaloo, which the board participated last week. Everyone's read the resolution, the events occurred. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, any objections to the resolution? Abstentions? Passed. The next resolution is a SAPO application for Trick or Streets with Theory 9. Again, an event that occurred on October 25th. We are supporting the organization. They give back to the community. Everyone read the resolution. Is there any questions? Comments? Any objections to the resolution? Abstentions? Passed. Okay, the last resolution is a biobus at PS 315. Okay, and this will occur on November 21st. So that the board will support the issuance of a permit to the biobus at PS 315 for the parking restrictions on Reservoir Avenue between Claflin and Webb Avenue. Any questions or comments? So we vote. Abstentions? Objections? Passed. Okay, thank you. To myself. Okay, next is the Economic Development Committee. Councilors.
All right, I will try to be quick. I'm going in reverse order. We did not have a meeting this month because we're having the corridor walk tomorrow. Our next meeting is on November 5th at University of Mount St. Vincent. Tomorrow's corridor walk, as you've heard from many people here, is a joint effort. We will be walking along Broadway with SCRE, ENS, Public Safety, Sanitation. I'm probably leaving some people off, but they will be there tomorrow. We'll meet at Shake Shack. The purpose of the walk, we've been doing these as a committee or as a board for a while, is to provide information to the businesses to hear their concerns and try to offer some support, bring it back to the board. We have also been, I don't know how you want to say, our proposal was accepted for the New York City Community Planning Fellow through the Fund for the City of New York. Thanks to Bob for being a thought partner and Farah for spending most of last month on the phone with me. But it was approved. We have a fellow coming from Baruch. She's studying for her master's, I want to say in urban planning, but I might have that wrong. The title of the proposal or the composition and purpose is the Retail Composition and Development Study. We listened to the community's concerned about vacant businesses or vacant storefronts increasing rents and what's happening with some of our most vulnerable citizens who cannot get to certain things like the banks, the pharmacies, et cetera. And so we want to study the effects of that, create some surveys and reports about what we find. Come to Economic Development Committee if you would like to learn more and help us.
Thank you, Constance. We'll go into the budget report. If you can pass the mic down to Sebastian, please.
So we had our public. We had our public hearing for the FY 27 expense and capital priorities this evening. We do not have any comments from that hearing. We do have a comment of our public gallery for the full board meeting. I just want to clarify that it's number 5 on expense, we're adding tree guards. Yeah, and that's for the whole district, or is just for the Van Cortlandt Park?
So the, on the capital priorities list, is under, priority number 5 is reconstruction of Old Fort 4 Park. And it's a reconstruction of the existing playground equipment, spray area, benches, fencing, stone walls, updating the green space and improving lighting for the basketball courts. And then just calling out that the neighborhood does not have a dog run within a 10-minute walk. And so this park would be a good candidate, and that should be considered an amenity. Joelle is also an active steward in this park and proposed putting tree guards around the tree pits in the park. There's actually a very nice promenade of trees in that park that are central to where they just planted them, where they just did all of the renovation of the existing playground equipment.
Can we get a vote on this addition to the capital budget?
So you're putting in a friendly amendment to the resolution that you passed in June.
Number 5, yeah, number 5 on the capital budget.
Okay, so we're making an adjustment to number 5 and adding on the stipulation that Joelle requested that now the Parks chairperson is asking. Are there any comments? Any objections, abstentions? So then it's added into the budget.
Okay, thank you.
So now with the amended budget, we could do a resolution to accept the new budget. Well,
Okay.
not the new budget, but the amended budget.
Can we get a vote to approve FY 27 expense and capital priorities?
Okay, does anyone have any objections? Abstentions? Okay, approved as is with the amended.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your work, Sebastian. Okay. So now we're going to move on to aging.
Good evening. We met on October 16th, and the first thing we did was we reviewed a proposed mission statement, updating it, and there were some edits. At our next meeting, November 6th, we'll finalize it. We had a presentation of findings from AGIC New York City on their needs assessment survey, and then we discussed how those needs fit with the categories included in our resource guide. And our next meeting is November 6th. Questions?
No questions? Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Barbara.
A pleasure.
Special Committee on Veterans Affairs, Sergio Villareal.
Thank you, thank you. So this Sunday is the Memorial Grove event. It crept up on us. It's a little early since the first Sunday is 2 days into the month, but it will be at Memorial Grove. It starts at noon. We are gathering at 11, so if you care to come out and help, please do so. We'd love to have you. And there is a cleanup Saturday, from 10 to 1 at Memorial Grove. That's the area directly across from Burger King, where they have the plaques around the trees that's fenced off. It's usually one of the better Memorial Day events, Veterans Day events in the Bronx. We usually have, the borough president, some of the luminaries come out, and it's a very touching event as well. Emily?
I'm happy to keep this question or like conversation offline. But I'm not sure I'm not sure how many service members are participating in the event, but I know like a memo just came out that because of the government shutdown, no one's allowed, there's many restrictions on how and if they are allowed to participate. So I don't know who we're counting on coming, and how we're counting on them to participate. So again, I did talk about it offline, and if we need restructure, I'm happy to talk.
No, that's fine, and that's a very fair question, because Manhattan College ROTC, they're one of our color guards, they bailed. They said because of the government shutdown, they won't be coming. We will be having the American Legion come down with their color guard. And so it's mainly going to be, it's mainly as it usually is a veterans event. So yeah, we won't have any active duty support likely, but or the ROTC, because, and I didn't quite understand it, but they said, yeah, because of the shutdown, we can't walk across the street and do the color guard. But the American Legion has stepped in. So we'll have some veterans, we'll have some Vietnam veterans. We will be unveiling the bench honoring the Vietnam veterans. This is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War this year. So there will be some veterans that help unveil as well. So yes.
Thank you, Sergio. Okay, and then we'll have Sergio for the board structure.
Oh, the board structure committee. You will be hearing from us if on the committee structure, on what you think can be made more efficient in the board. So you should be getting a call from one of us three. We do have the board list, so reach out, and we will be reaching out. And if you have any specific things that have been gnawing at you, please feel free to email me as well. We'll make sure that it gets on our agenda and that we look it over. So we're specifically looking at the committee structures and anything you think could make us more efficient in terms of the committees. Do we need to get rid of committees? Do we need to merge committees? Do some committees need to be special committees? Some committees need to be permanent committees, but whatever you can think of that's related to what we do, please just send it. This is the time, because we're looking to make some positive changes.
Thank you, Sergio. I'm glad you said that. So disregard my previous comment about emailing me at the office. Please email Sergio Filaverde. You have all his contact information in the directory. Cesar?
Just for a point of clarity, because you said one of us three, who are you referring to?
It's Karen Walker and Joe Towns. Right, and please always copy the board office when you email us. That way, there's a record of it kept somewhere, and they'll give us a prompt if we don't respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, before we finish off with the committee reports, I'd just like to say that really for the new members, because I feel like we kind of did it quick with the resolutions. It's a good practice to definitely read the resolutions before you come. And if you can, visit the location so you have a visual of what we're speaking about. Because when we come to the meetings, hopefully we'll be quick, do the resolutions and move on. It's at the committee meetings that you really get in depth and they discuss it thoroughly. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, that we voted on the bylaws. In order for the bylaws to change, we'll have to vote at 2 meetings before the bylaws can be changed once approved. Okay.
Just to add to what Julie was saying, another way, if you really want to dig into the issues and figure out what the hell is going on, we have videos of most committee meetings up on our website. So that would be recommended also. That's it.
Yes. and they're very detailed, a lot of discussions. Thank you, Ed. Okay, so now we're going to go on to item number 12. And that would be up board member Emily Houseman, speaking on the mentoring program that she took an initiative on, and I hope everybody tries to participate.
Yeah, okay. So this is the last call to fill out, this is the last call to fill out the Google forms for both mentors and mentees. If you can't find the email, the last email was sent on October 7th. Sarah, thank you so much for reminding. 27th, sorry, it's been a long day. October 27th, I know sometimes emails get buried between like agendas and minutes. So October 27th, you can go ahead and take a look. It's a Google form. The deadline to submit it is Monday, so you have over the weekend. Matches will be made over the course of next week. And then I'm gonna, the deadline is Monday, over the course of next week, I'm gonna make the matches, send out an intro email to you and your partner and some tips on getting started. And then Sarah, Julie, and I are gonna work on finding a date in November to meet in between like committee meetings and things like that. So I really encourage, I have everybody's forms that did fill them out, whether they're paper copies or Google forms. And when you submit your Google form, it will go straight to me. So I deeply appreciate it. Just make sure if you're a new board member to fill out that one, and if you're a returning board member to fill out that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily.
We filled it out at the orientation. Do we have to fill that again? No? Okay, thank you.
No, if you filled it out, I've been walking around with it in my bag right here for 3 months.
Thank you. Okay, so then we're gonna move on to, it's 9:15. We have about 15 more minutes. So now we're almost ended. We're gonna go on to the council members' reports. If anyone on Zoom is for Councilmember Dinowitz, Sanchez, or De La Rosa, please unmute yourself. First one is for Councilmember Dinowitz. Is there a representative or the council member online? Okay, it's not here, so then we'll go to Councilmember Marina Hannah Sanchez. Okay, no, so then Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa. Okay, so that takes care of the council members. So we'll move on to the mayor's office. I saw Lena. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Hi. So Alina Dow, Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. Good to see you all. I'm just here briefly because it's getting late. I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware. I know that we all know that the mayor, again, is not running. However, Community Affairs is still operating. We are still working. That's why I'm here. You guys can still count on me. If there's anything that you need, please do not hesitate to call me. I obviously, with the parks, I did just want to share, I was back there listening. If there is a situation where anyone who does have a permit does not get along with the community because it's a conflict, they do call them in and have a conversation and it can be changed. So I know that Laura, expressed that the community didn't complain. However, now that it's gonna be a little bit later, they might end up changing that because I have that happening over in Woodlawn as well. So I just wanted to share that. And also, as far as with the walkthroughs, please include me because usually I'm a part of the, bridging everyone together. So other than that, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. If you need me, call me. All right.
Thank you, Lena. Right on.
Finished on time.
Someone has their hand raised on Zoom.
Yes, hi, my name is Brenda Nunez. I am here for the Councilmember Birina Sanchez. I was trying to unmute myself, but I'm very new
Okay.
to attending meetings, so I apologize for that.
What is your name again? I'm sorry.
My name is Brenda Nunez. Yeah, Muniz. That's my name. I'm very new to the team, so this is my first.
Okay, well, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
We'll give you an extra minute. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Is it to prepare?
You're on.
You should mute yourself.
Okay, thank you for being here. Next time you can give a report if you like. We really do, we'll put the clock on you. But thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here. Okay, so then we'll go on to the elected officials report. In order, if you could unmute yourself, if you're here from the district attorney's office, Senator Jackson's office, or Senator Rivera's office. So we'll start with the Bronx District Attorney's Jeffrey Pena.
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Pena, and I am a Community Engagement Coordinator at the Bronx District Attorney's Office. Our office, in partnership with NYPD, will host a gun buyback event on Saturday, November 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. James Episcopal Church, located at 2500 Jerome Avenue. We will be offering gift cards in exchange for firearms with no questions asked and no identification required. The gun must be unloaded and placed in a plastic bag, paper bag, or box. You can turn in as many guns as you want, but you will only receive payment for up to 3 guns, $500 gift card for a handgun or assault rifle, $200 gift card for a ghost gun or 3D printed gun. The first 100 participants will receive free electronics such as an iPad Pro, Apple Watch, gaming consoles, or AirPods. Free food pantry bags will also be available. For more info, call 646-610-5323. I have emailed the flyer to the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we go on to Senator Jackson, Mr. Dario Quinsac.
Everybody, Dara Quinsac, Director of Operations for State Senator Robert Jackson. Right now, the senator's priority is dealing with SNAP. Even though we might not see it on the street as a problem, a lot of our constituents are worried. Obviously, we are grateful that the governor and his colleagues are putting $100 million for food banks and food pantries, but there's still a lot to do, and we're hoping that the shutdown ends faster than we hope than it should be. But at the end of the day, our constituents and everybody in New York City needs to have food on the table. So he's working on that right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dario. From Senator Rivera's office, Flavia Salzar, is she on?
Hi, good evening. Sorry I can't be with you guys in person today, but I look forward to seeing you next month. Just a quick updates and reminders from our office. We continue to have free immigration assistance with NIMIC. These are monthly clinics, so if you know anyone that needs this assistance, have them call our office at 718-933-2034. We've had a number of events this month. Just yesterday, we had a spooky Halloween blood drive in partnership with Fordham University. It was a huge success. We've had some other great events recently supporting organizations in our district. With RNH, we celebrated $70,000 in funding to support their college directions and youth internship programs. Then at KRBC, we celebrated on Wednesday, October 22nd. They received $140,000 in operational funding to help them continue their amazing work they do. As always, you can reach us at 718-933-2034. And thank you.
Thank you, Flavia. Okay, any one from the Assembly Member's office present, please unmute yourself. We'll start off with Assembly Member De Los Santos. Assembly Member Dinowitz. Assembly Member George Alvarez. Jaylee Santos isn't there? Okay, so then we'll go on to Congressman Richie Torres. Adriano Espelat. Public Advocate's Office. Controller's Office. Okay, so then we'll go into old business. Does anyone have any old business? Jessica?
I know Senator Jackson's office, you guys were looking into the whole Con Ed bill going up and these data centers running around, getting built on our money. Like, what's the update with that?
Okay, there's a microphone. Sorry about that, okay. So data centers are not currently considered an issue at this time by the state DPS, Department of Public Service. And regarding to increases in the utility rate, I cannot discuss that at this time because we're in settlement negotiation.
Okay, thank you, Dario. And just a reminder, if you have questions, you always have good questions. Send them ahead of time too, so they could get the information so they could come and actually give us more, because you always come up with good questions. Thanks. Okay, any other old business? New business? Okay, no announcements. Our next meeting, I always think you have your hand up, do you? You do. Can someone pass the mic, please? No, but do it on the mic so people can hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick announcement of last night's news, even though it's not immediately in our district, it is right across the street from our district. City Council voted yes to approve the redevelopment of the Kingsbridge Armory, that is also including community benefits agreements and also point of authority, which would include the larger Kingsbridge area, including parts of Jerome and Kingsbridge, which is the side of Kingsbridge of Community Board 8 as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and this is the end of the ULURP process. As of next week ends the ULURP process for that redevelopment, and construction can start.
Thank you for that update. As a matter of fact, years ago, the community board was involved with the process. They haven't contacted the board office in the past couple of years, so we appreciate the update. Thank you. Our next meeting is November 13th. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Okay. I don't know. Wait, they haven't voted. Is that the Bronx DA that wants to know?
What?
No, so we're adjourned. Thank you.